It was 3 in the morning. My son was screaming. His skin was burning hot. I knew exactly where I put the fever medicine. I put it on the nightstand, right next to the lamp. I put it there 3 hours ago. But now, it was gone. The surface was empty, clean, perfectly empty. I felt that familiar coldness in my stomach, not fear of the fever, but fear of him. I tore open the drawers. Nothing. I checked under the bed. Nothing. My hands were shaking as I ran to the bathroom cabinet. Nothing. Just rows of perfectly aligned white towels. Everything was organized. Everything was beautiful. And my son was burning up because I could not find the one thing I needed. Because he touched it. I am Claire, 30 years old. If you look at my Instagram, you will see a perfect life. Sourdough bread baking in the oven. Fresh flowers on the marble island. A husband who brings home a 6-figure salary. We live in a gated community in the suburbs, the kind of place where the grass is measured with a ruler. But photos do not show the truth. They do not show the silence. My husband, David, is not just neat. He is obsessed. He calls himself a minimalist. He says clutter clouds the mind. He says if you cannot see the surface, you cannot see the potential. It sounds poetic, does it not? But living with him is not poetry. It is a strategic game of hide and seek where I am always the loser. It started with small things, everyday objects, my car keys, the remote control, the mail. I would leave them on the counter. 5 minutes later, they would vanish. I would ask him, "David, where are my keys?" And he would look at me with that calm, patient smile, and the smile you give to a slow child. "Claire," he would say, "the counter is for preparation, not storage. I put them in the utility box in the garage." The garage. He moved my car keys to a box in the garage, so to drive my car I had to walk to the garage to get the keys to start the car. I tried to argue. I said, "David, that makes no sense. I need them by the door." He sighed. He touched my cheek. "It makes sense if you elevate your thinking, Claire. Keys are tools for the vehicle. The vehicle lives in the garage. Therefore, the keys live in the garage. It is logic, pure logic." He made me feel crazy. He made me feel messy, like I was the chaos he was trying to fix. Then Leo was born. Postpartum fog is real. You are tired, you are hormonal, you are barely human. I needed help, but David gave me organization. One afternoon, Leo had a blowout, a bad one. I put him on the changing table. I reached for a diaper. The stack was gone. The wipes were gone. The table was bare. Just a pristine white surface. Panic rose in my throat. "David!" I screamed. He walked in holding a cup of espresso. "David, where are the diapers? I just bought a box yesterday." He took a sip of coffee. "I unpacked them," he said. "The packaging was garish, all those cartoon bears. It ruined the visual flow of the nursery." "Where are they?" I cried. Leo was still screaming. "I stacked them in the guest room closet on the top shelf, out of sight." The guest room. Down the hall. "Why?" I sobbed. "I need them here." "You need to walk more anyway," he said, glancing at my stomach. "And this room looks much more peaceful now. You are welcome, Claire." He walked away, leaving me with a crying baby and no way to clean him. That was the first crack in the glass. But the final straw was not the keys. It was not the diapers. It was the underwear. I was 4 weeks postpartum. I was still healing, physically healing. I relied on my disposable underwear. They are ugly, they are medical, but they are necessary. I kept a stash in my bathroom vanity, hidden, private. That morning I was in pain. I opened my drawer to get a fresh pair. Empty. My heart stopped. I checked the trash. Nothing. I checked the linen closet. Nothing. I called David at work. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. "David," I said. "Did you touch my drawer?" "Hello to you too, Claire," he answered. "Yes, I was organizing this morning before you woke up." "Where are they?" My voice was a whisper. "I threw them out." The world stopped spinning. "You... what?" "I threw them out, Claire. It has been a month. Seeing those things in the drawer, it is depressing. It is time to move on. Transition back to your normal lingerie. I did it for you. To push you back to normalcy. He threw away my medical supplies because they were depressing to look at. He decided when my body was healed. He decided what I was allowed to wear. I hung up the phone. I stood there in the silence of my perfect beige bathroom. I looked at the empty drawer, and something inside me snapped. Not a loud snap, but a quiet one, like a lock clicking into place. He wanted logic? He wanted everything to make sense? Fine. I wiped my tears. I looked at the mirror. The sad Claire was gone. The new Claire was ready to play. If he wanted a game of logic, I was about to become the Grandmaster. I stopped crying. Tears are messy, and David hates mess. Instead, I started watching. I watched him like a hawk. I realized something terrifying. David does not organize to clean. He organizes to control. He takes the things I need, everyday things, and moves them to places that only make sense in his twisted head. It is a power move. He wants me to ask him. He wants me to feel small so he can feel big. Okay, David, you want logic? I will give you logic. I will give you so much logic it will choke you. I needed targets. Things he loves. Things he reaches for without thinking. I walked into our master bedroom. The air was still. I opened his nightstand drawer. Top drawer, his boxers, silk, expensive, Calvin Klein. He keeps them right next to the bed. Convenient, accessible, just like my fever medicine used to be. Then I looked at the surface of the nightstand, his precious handheld gaming console, the Nintendo Switch. He plays it every night before bed. He says it helps him decompose from the stress of the market. It is his pacifier. Perfect. I had my targets. Now I needed a destination. A place that was completely inconvenient, yet undeniably logical. I remembered his words. Elevate your thinking, Claire. Put things where they belong, Claire. Challenge accepted. Tuesday morning, David left for the office at 7. At 7:05, I began the operation. Target 1, the boxers. I took every single pair out of his bedside table. The drawer looked empty. It looked sad. So I filled it with something else. Socks, winter socks, thick wool winter socks. It is July in Florida. It is 90 degrees outside. But hey, socks go in a drawer, right? Then I took his boxers. I walked out of the bedroom. I walked down the hall. I walked past the guest room. I walked into the laundry room. I opened the cabinet above the washing machine, the one we use for storing extra detergent. I stacked his silk boxers neatly next to the bleach. Why? Because they are clothes, and clothes get washed in the laundry room. It makes perfect sense. If you think about it hard enough. Target 2, the gaming console. This one was my masterpiece. He keeps it on the nightstand because he plays it in bed. But that is messy, is it not? Electronics in the bedroom disrupt sleep hygiene. David is all about hygiene. I took the console. I marched to the game room in the basement, the room he set up but rarely uses because it is too far from the fridge. I opened the closet in the game room. I put the console on the highest shelf, behind the old Monopoly board games. Then I closed the door. I dusted my hands. I looked around. The house was quiet. The house was clean. The house was organized. For the first time in months, I felt peace, true peace. Now I just had to wait for the explosion. He came home at 8. He was tired. He did his usual routine. Kissed me on the forehead. Complained about his assistant. Went to the bathroom to shower. I sat on the bed reading a book. My heart was hammering against my ribs, but my face was stone. I heard the shower stop. I heard him drying off. Then I heard the drawer open. Silence. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Claire? His voice was confused. Not angry yet, just confused. Yes, darling, I answered, not looking up from my page. Where are my boxers? He walked out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, water dripping. He looked at the open drawer full of wool socks. My boxers. They are gone. Why are there winter socks in here? I closed my book slowly. I looked him dead in the eye, and I channeled his spirit. I put on my best David voice. Oh, honey, I was organizing today. Having underwear in the bedroom felt so cluttered. It is not sanitary to keep intimates near where we sleep. It disrupts the feng shui. His jaw dropped. What? Where are they? I moved them to the laundry room, I said, smiling sweetly. In the upper cabinet. It makes sense, David. Laundry goes in the laundry room. That is where they get cleaned. It is the most logical place for them. I saw the gears turning in his head. He wanted to scream. He wanted to tell me I was stupid. But he could not. Because I used his words. I used his logic. If he called me crazy, he would be calling himself crazy. He let out a frustrated grunt. He stomped out of the room. I heard him marching down the hall to the laundry room. Naked, wet, angry. It was beautiful. But I was not done. He came back 5 minutes later, wearing his boxers, breathing hard. He sat on the bed and reached for his nightstand. He reached for his game. His hand grabbed air. He froze. He looked at the empty spot. He looked at me. His eyes were wide now. Real fear. Claire, where is my switch? Where is my switch, Claire? He asked again. I turned a page of my book. I told you. The game room closet, top shelf, behind the Monopoly box. David looked at the door. Then he looked at me. He realized the distance. To get his game, he had to walk out of the master suite, down the long hallway, down the stairs, through the living room, into the basement, and then all the way back up, while tired, while angry. He let out a low growl, but he did it. I listened to his heavy footsteps stomping away, thump, thump, thump. It was the sound of a man realizing he was no longer the king of his castle. He was just a tenant, and the landlord had just raised the rent. I knew I had about 3 minutes. He walks fast when he is angry, but I move faster when I am motivated. I looked at his side of the bed, his 2 memory foam pillows, his weighted blanket. He needs them to sleep. He claims he has sensitive joints. I grabbed them all, heavy, awkward, but oh so satisfying. I ran to the linen closet in the hallway. I shoved them inside. I closed the door. I dove back into bed just as I heard his footsteps coming back up the stairs. My heart was racing, but my breathing was steady. I closed my eyes. The show was about to end. He walked in. He tossed the switch on the nightstand. He sighed, ready to collapse into his pillows. Then silence. The silence stretched. It became heavy. Claire. His voice was shaking. I opened one eye. Yes, David? Where are my pillows? I sat up. I gave him a look of pure confusion. Pillows? In the bed? David, think about the dust mites. What? He whispered. I was reading an article about allergens, I lied smoothly. Having bulky bedding exposed all day collects dust. It is unhygienic. It makes the room look cluttered, so I organized them. He gripped the edge of the mattress. His knuckles were white. Where are they? In the linen closet, where linens belong. It makes sense, right? You can go get them if you want to sleep. But please put them back in the closet when you wake up. We need to maintain the aesthetic. He looked at the hallway. He looked at the linen closet door. Then he looked at me. He saw it in my eyes. This was not a prank. This was a new treaty. This was war. And he was naked, tired, and unarmed. He did not go to the closet. He was too defeated. He just curled up on the bare mattress, using his arm as a pillow. He looked small. You win, he whispered into the darkness. I get it, okay? I get it, just stop. I smiled in the dark. Stop what, honey? I asked innocently. I am just helping you organize. Stop helping, he said. Please, put my things back. I will stop moving yours. I promise. A promise? From a man who deals in contracts. I knew he meant it, because for a narcissist, inconvenience is worse than death. That was 3 months ago. The house is still clean, but it is different now. Look at the counter. My keys are there, right where I left them. Look at the nursery. The diapers are on the changing table, visible, accessible, ugly. And David? He walks past them without saying a word. Sometimes I see his hand twitch, I see him wanting to move them. He wants to hide them in the garage. He wants to restore his perfect order. But then he looks at me, and he remembers the night of the winter socks. He remembers the hike to the basement. He remembers sleeping on a bare mattress. And he keeps walking. They say marriage is about compromise. I disagree. Marriage is about boundaries. And sometimes to build a boundary, you have to burn the logic down. My name is Claire, and this is my house now.